The zombie... The zombie in me would like to make a few things clear. First and foremost, there is no zombie in me, per se. No, rather, all of me is zombie. The zombie in me whispers this in my ear every morning as I wake up, as I apply my facial makeup so that my face doesn't fall apart, as I pass Barbara, the receptionist, on the way to work. The voice will say something like, "Eat her brains." But I will say, "Good morning, Barbara." And I will walk to my cubicle. I rather like Barbara, but she's married. His name is Mark. When I think of Mark, the voice says something like, "Bite his face," because the voice knows that I like biting faces. And when it comes to Mark's face, I really like biting that face. I eat lunch with Barbara every day. Well, I don't eat lunch with Barbara. The food in the cafeteria is boring and unappetizing. And also, it's not human flesh. So there's that. In their paper, Your Zombie and You, philosophers Chris Hamilton and Daniel Hender Hicks explore why America is so fascinated with zombie culture. They argue that it's not fear, but rather a subconscious relation to the zombie, as a metaphor for consumerism. They say that this desire to consume happens naturally in all of us, but it's something that we all struggle with through our entire lives, which leads to the question, when does this voice of consumerism consume us? That was a zombie joke. All of Me, by Manuel Gonzalez. I actually rather like Barbara, but as one would imagine, there's a slew of things getting in the way of me asking Barbara out on a date. The first of which being, she has a husband. The second of which is I have an insatiable desire for eating human flesh that often results in bloodthirsty, very gory images passing through my head. These images are very strong, except for one. There's this one very peaceful image I have of Barbara. We're holding hands, walking near the beach. Not on the beach. The sand's an abrasive on my skin and it hurts very badly. And we're walking and she turns her head to me and leans in for a kiss. And then suddenly I'm eating Mark's face off! As one would assume, I have very many coping mechanisms for these visions, the most successful of which is I like to throw glass objects. This mechanism is so successful, I actually have an entire room of my house, a very small house, dedicated for me throwing ancient glass shards that I pick up at the dollar store. A room that until very recently was ankle deep in glass. I say recently because Barbara got in a fight with Mark. And, well, I jokingly offered for her to stay there, knowing full well that she had family to stay with, and after family, friends, and after friends, a nice room at the Holiday Inn. That she took me up on the offer is why I rushed home immediately after work, went to the Salvation Army, bought a bunch of guest room furniture, and turned my glass throwing room into a kind of guest room. I say rushedly there very subjectively. Due to the supernatural state of my existence, I'm not a very fast mover. Barbara arrived at my house, to my surprise, early. And I say, to my surprise, because my nose was falling off. Thankfully, she was pissed drunk and had fat tears in her eyes, so she couldn't tell. When I confessed that I had nothing to drink, she grabbed me by the arm, almost pulling it off, and said, "Let's go out." So last night was the most amazing night of my life, hands down. Of this life, of this non-life existence that I'm currently in. One would think that my purpose in the night was to make a second wrong into a right, but no, that's not what I was doing. I was more so the watcher of the drinks, the holder of the purse, the holder of the hair as she threw up in my bathtub. And among all of that, there was just something that made me feel so human. Like I finally had something that I'd been missing my entire life. I was so happy that day. I even tried to whistle on the way to work, which didn't work because my jaw doesn't really work, so I just hummed. So it should come as no surprise that when I walked into work and saw Mark standing there, laughing jovially next to Barbara's desk, my first instinct was a rageful one. Don't assume I don't know the difficulty inherent in trying to control something that you can't control. And trying to swallow down this very real and very evil part of you that you know is there. And you've held him back your entire life. And for once, you just want to break out and say you didn't have a choice, that the voice consumed you. And now, the voice is saying, Barbara. She comes up to me and she hugs me. Mark leaves. The scent of deli counter ham still lingers in the room. And for that moment, I'm full of clarity. I don't need to do this. Barbara's innocent, but there's a part of me that knows what I really want. And the zombie had different plans. Barbara likes birds. She donates to the Avian Society. She's really passionate about it. I don't. And if it counts for anything, birds don't like me either. They have dead eyes. Living but lifeless. Yeah, kind of like me. The difference is Barbara loves birds. She'll never love me. And her sitting there 20 or 30 heartbeats away from death, the last breath of air leaving her lips, I know there are things I can do to stop this process from happening, to make everything okay, but the zombie in me wants her. The zombie in me wants her to be a part of my horde. The zombie in me wants her to see the darkness that I wake up and see every day. The zombie in me wants her. I want her! I want her. And that's when I realized there was no zombie in me, per se. Or rather, all of me was zombie.